Good morning. Thank y'all for being here. So this is our biweekly update where we want to give you the opportunity to understand some of the things that are happening in our community and within our agency, and give you, the media, an opportunity to ask some questions on behalf of the community. So we'll start off with our crime data. So as of right now, we are still trending in the right direction. We are never where we want to be, but we are always going to strive to be a little bit better. And so while we're down 30% in homicides, 30% in non-fatal shootings, and 23% in robberies and carjackings, we always want to strive to improve and make sure that those numbers continue to be a reflection of the hard work of the men and women of LMPD. And so to give you a little bit of context about how we're getting there, and I know that if you look around the country and a lot of the major cities, some of the trends are that these numbers are coming down. And so we're talking to and reaching out to other major cities to see what they have going on that is moving their crime in the right direction and making sure that these numbers continue to go that way. So I want to give you a couple of examples of some of the work that's been done over the past few weeks that's very important. So this right here started off as a stolen vehicle that was possibly related to a shooting. And so our CID detectives from our Criminal Interdiction Division, SWAT, and patrol officers in the 1st Division all came upon this vehicle. Several subjects ran from this. I know some of you all covered this last week, but several subjects ran in that process. They pitched some guns. SWAT ended up surrounding the location, and we recovered more guns. So out of that, we had 10 people arrested in total, 4 adults and 6 juveniles. 6 of these guns were reported stolen. 2 of them that you can see highlighted had aftermarket manufactured Glock switches. And so what those do is they convert those normal semi-automatic weapons into full auto weapons. And you can only imagine the level of danger that creates to the public and how important it is to get those off the street. And for adults to be participating in that type of crime or facilitating juveniles and participating in that type of crime is extremely, extremely concerning. And so I want to give a shout out to all those officers and detectives doing that great work. One of the other things we've talked about is our prohibited firearm possessor program. And this is targeting those who we know are violent career criminals who have gun histories. And this subject right here, Michael McWhorter, had a felony warrant for felony gun charges and decided not to go back to court. So our officers doing diligent work, going out there and looking for bad guys to get them off the street and make sure that they're not repeat offenders. We're able to locate this man, and as you can see, he decided he didn't want to go peacefully either. But we were able to take him in after he was hiding in the floorboards of a location, of a house. We're able to cut that floorboard open, get him out of the vent, and take him into custody without incident. People will go to extreme lengths to avoid arrest. And I think it's amazing that we have officers in these special units, but those patrol officers that are out there doing this type of work to take these people off the street. The combination of the fugitive unit, K-9, SWAT, patrol, they're the ones out here doing this work to get these people off the street and keep us safe. And so we're going to keep striving to make sure that we do that and we do it well. And in order to do that well, we need the cooperation of the community. Make usage of the anonymous tip line. It stays anonymous. This is an opportunity for the community to help us get bad folks off the street. We had 4 homicides last week, which any homicide is too much, but I think we're going to have some good leads in that. But I also want to point out that in many of the situations that we deal with related to victims or related to violent crimes in general, oftentimes the people that are victims of violent crime are the previous suspects of violent crimes. So you can see that this lifestyle is not a sustainable lifestyle. We want to make sure that we are getting people out of that lifestyle, that we are pivoting them in a direction to get out of a violent, unlawful lifestyle, and we're giving them resources and things like that to get away from that. And so when you talk about our crime plan, this works right into what we've talked about to the community, that this is intentional, that the work we are doing is not by accident. We are not throwing spaghetti at a wall and seeing what fits. So those examples that I just gave you are perfect examples of that second front of our crime plan. And so when we're talking about violent offender enforcement, getting those people off the street, those are a couple of examples of how that works in action. And one of the other parts of that program is our group violence intervention program. And so here today with me is Detective Ivan Haygood, who runs our group violence intervention, does an outstanding job. And what we're trying to do with that is get those people out of the lifestyle before they become the next victim. Our goal ultimately is to keep people alive. And that includes people that have committed crimes in the past. We owe them that, to either take them off the street and put them in jail to keep them alive, or to give them a path out. And so just wanted to give you an example of how our violent offender enforcement front is working. Moving on to something else that you all have been covering. Obviously, the flooding in our community in the past week or so has been devastating to many. But it's another place where we have officers out there putting their lives on the line, going above and beyond, and are excited to show off the skills and the work that they've put in over the years. You all saw that there was an RV that ended up in the river down by Shippingport Island, and so our river unit and our dive team, in large part due to their good work and the equipment that they've been able to obtain in the past few years, between the boats, you've seen the trucks that they have. They put in countless hours in order to get the skills to save people's lives. And I'm gonna tell you right now, you ain't gonna find me on the water. That's not what I do. So I'll give a shout out to those guys and girls on the dive team. It's absolutely amazing that they go out there. And what I'll say is that while no one was in that RV, fortunately, so we were not dealing with a rescue or recovery, didn't know that at the time, but fortunately we had no injuries in that. And so we are grateful that the outcome of that situation was what it was, but also, again, just a reiteration to be smart in those times of emergencies, those times where things are dangerous for community members. So, and I also want to say thank you, because we didn't have an abundance of stupidity out there. People were good citizens. They were, and it's absolutely great that everyone pitched in, didn't do dumb things to get themselves in trouble, and helped out their neighbors when they had issues. So that's the type of community that Louisville is, and that's the type of work that the men and women of LMPD do on a day-to-day basis. I want to just give you an overview of a couple of events that are coming up. The National Prescription Drug Take-Back Day, where we collaborate with Norton Healthcare, Walgreens, and Kroger to take back prescription medications that do not flush them down the toilet. Don't just throw them away. Dispose of them appropriately. We get thousands of pounds of narcotics off the street that could become dangerous to family members or in our households if not properly disposed of. So that happens later this week. We'll put out on our social exactly where they'll be at each Kroger and each Walgreens that will be participating in that, so please take part. And then we have a very large, very successful community Easter egg hunt sponsored by the 7th Division that will take place at Highview Park on the 19th between 2 and 4. Bring your kids, bring your family, and come out and have a great time with us. So with that, I will turn it over to questions.
I have a couple of questions for you. So yesterday, a teenager was shot in the hand, I believe, during a robbery, and then a couple of weeks ago, a teenager was shot in the carjacking. While violent crime is down, are you guys seeing an increase at all in crime that involves teenagers?
So the question was about teenagers being involved in, particularly in violent crime. That is very, very concerning to us when teenagers are involved in violent crime, both as victims and as suspects. We have to get to those kids before they reach that level. It is very, very difficult from the police standpoint to reach a kid who's already involved in carrying guns, who's already involved in shooting people, and get them back from that. We want to make sure that we reach them prior to that, or when we identify that they might be at risk of that type of behavior. This is where community groups come in play. This is where the public school system comes in play. This is where families come in play. When you know that you have a young person who is going down that path, step in. That might be your last opportunity to save their life. We have officers out here every day who are willing to step in and try to save people's lives. We need the help of the community to open your mouth, step up, and be part of helping these young people.
Are you guys thinking you're seeing an increase in teenagers, or maybe a decrease, or is it steady?
Exactly where it is compared to previous years, it seems to be about steady, which is way too high.
You mentioned your crime plan, and you showed us a little bit about how it's working. The mayor is expected to announce his crime plan this afternoon. Can you give us your thoughts on that plan and how LMPD will be able to help with it?
Yeah, so the question is about the mayor's crime plan that we'll have a press conference on later this afternoon. And so that is great, because what it does is we're just part of that community safety plan, right? We have a certain task and a certain role, and our crime plan is supplemental to that. And so all of the things that we cannot do as police is what the rest of the administration is going to be focused on. And that's important, that you have an entire government that is focused on keeping people safe and creating an environment where everyone can thrive. So very excited to be part of that, and very excited to know that we have an entire metro government that is supporting what the police department is trying to do and our mission of keeping people safe.
You showed us a bit of the flooding and how your crews are out there rescuing people, or at least attempting to, you didn't know if they're running. Now that we've kind of moved past the floodwater being up in homes and things like that, we've seen different sheriffs in different areas. Now they've announced that they're going to add patrols around houses, that maybe there's some damage to help prevent looting. Is LMPD doing anything like that?
Yeah, so the question is about all of the rescues and everything that we participated in, and then what are the next steps to make sure that we keep people's properties safe. So while there was no one in that particular RV, I think we had something like 65 or 85 rescues that we actually did conduct last week. I know the fire department conducted many as well. They had to call us first and make sure it was safe for them to go, but then we told them it was okay. They can go out there, put their big boy pants on, and participate in helping people. That's a joke. But absolutely amazing work that was done over the past week or so between police, fire, EMS, Metro Safe, the dispatch center, and just everyone who stepped up in that time of need. As far as your question about preventing looting or crime that goes on supplemental to this, when a state of emergency is declared for something like this, there are actually increased penalties for those types of crimes. So I want to make it clear to people that do not take advantage of people who've had their property damaged or have had to vacate their homes, because you will get increased penalties when we catch you. That is something that the state has done that I think was a very wise thing to make sure that we protect the community, and we haven't had issues like that, and I hope that we don't, but we will make sure that they are addressed and addressed swiftly if we do. So,
the number of homicides we have year to date today, according to the city website, matches the number of homicide victims from 2020. The big difference seems to be that right now we are trending downward, whereas in 2020 we had a dramatic rise. What are your observations right now?
So the question was about my observations related to, this is the lowest number that we've had since this time in 2020, and we're trending down versus what ended up happening with the spike in spring, early summer of 2020. I want to have a city that goes back to below those numbers of where we were 2018, 2019, when we were out there doing the good work. Community was working with us to keep people safe. We do not need a community that is plagued by violence. It helps no one. And one of the things that is and this is just me kind of talking here, but one of the things that I think it's hard for young people in those lifestyles to see is that it doesn't have to be that way for them. I think they see what's around them and don't feel like they have opportunities, and they think that the lifestyle that they're living is normal. You don't have to look over your shoulder every day. You can lay your head down without the stress of thinking somebody's coming to get you. There are options out there. Life is hard, period. We all live hard lives. We have to work our butts off. It doesn't have to be hard and dangerous. There are options for these people to go in a different direction. So I am very excited that we are reducing the number of violent crime victims, and I'm optimistic about it. But I wouldn't say that it's necessarily a positive thing. And when I say that, don't misconstrue what I mean. A positive person will tell you everything's great even when it's not. I'm optimistic because I'm telling you we are doing the work and we have a plan to deal with a very difficult situation, and I want to make sure that it keeps trending that way.
Aside from violence intervention, what is different now compared to 2020?
Well, I think there's a couple of things. Is one, I think part of it is that what you saw in the last few years is just plain an outlier. That is not the norm for this community, and we are, I think as a community, we have not accepted anymore that is going to continue to be the norm. And so we are seeing that people are calling the police. People are showing us what they need to help the community. We have officers that are out there putting in that work. Let's be 100% transparent here. There was a fear of officers to go out and do the dangerous police work that we're asking them to go out and do that keeps people safe. And I feel like they are out there now making sure that they're being proactive in their engagement, being proactive in their enforcement, and disrupting crime before it starts. It's great to lock people up after the fact, but I would much rather prevent a violent crime before it happens. And so I think there's a combination of factors going on here. We are not the sole source of community safety. We're not. As much as I know we have an influence on keeping people safe and preventing violent crime, we're not the only route to get there. And so the collaboration and cooperation of community members, that willingness of officers to go out there and put in the work is absolutely amazing. And so we want to continue on that trend. I want people to reach out to us and tell us how we can do that better, how we can collaborate with community members better, and what we need to do differently in order to make sure that this maintains and gets even better.
I wanted to ask about the bones found in Dosker Manor a little while back. Have more been discovered, and do you all now believe that this could be a homicide case potentially?
So the question was about the remains that were found in Dosker Manor. I have no further information on that. Obviously, there was a good level of breakdown of the evidence that was there, and so we're still in the early stages of that, of processing those remains and trying to identify the person and how they died. So right now I don't have any more information on that. I'm sorry.
It's okay. Are you able to share, were there more bones found after the initial call, or was it just that?
So there were more remains found. We believe that those are the same remains, correct? That I don't think it was more than one person that was found. So
So there was a law that went into effect last year about retired police officers being able to go into different agencies to help with cold cases. We know that Louisville has a lot of cold cases. Have you guys been able to hire any retired police officers, or are you in the process of that? What does that look like for you?
So the question was about hiring retired officers to come back in civilian roles, and we've actually been doing that for several years. This is a program that I'm glad that the state has now formalized, but it's something we have been doing for years, and we do have a retired detective that has come back in a civilian role to do specifically work on cold cases. And so we are also putting rehired civilian detectives in other units. So what I would like to see and what we're trying to do is embed them out into the patrol divisions as well, so that we can help with that caseload there and relieve some of that caseload for those detectives who are trying to make sure that they give satisfactory service to community members for other crimes as well. So yes, it's been a success for us so far, and something that we want to now continue to expand.
Last year, you guys had 2 detectives in the cold case unit. Is there now 3 with the retired officer, or is it just 2? What do those numbers look like?
I believe we still have 2 sworn and the civilian in cold case.
Are you able to give us an update on Officer Beagle and that case?
So an update on Officer Beagle. So again, first of all, most important thing is the family. Anytime a life is lost in an accident or anything like that, we want to make sure that our focus is on that family. And so our hearts and our prayers continue to go out to them. And we want to be supportive of them. Officer Beagle did suffer a pretty catastrophic injury and went through surgeries and is home recovering now. As far as the investigation, we're investigating that. Both PIU and PSU are conducting those investigations, and as soon as those are wrapped up, we will make sure that you're aware of those. So.
I want to go back to the trend that you all have been following. You've seen a decrease in percentage of crimes. What's one thing that you've noticed in your work throughout the years that doesn't really indicate a success, but something that you're positive can lead to better outcomes in communities as far as violent crimes decreasing?
Well, so I'll take that as a 2-part answer of what are the things that we see as indicators of we're going in the right direction, I believe is kind of your question. One is community collaboration. When people feel comfortable that they can trust us to do the right thing and do it the right way, they provide us information knowing that we're going to be competent in the way that we handle that and solve these crimes. And then number 2 is when the crime rate is down, it gives those detectives more ability to focus on the crimes that have already occurred and put efforts into solving those. And so you have this lag effect of, as you solve crimes and you take bad people off the street, those people that were the suspects in yesterday's murder are the victims of tomorrow's murder. So if we can get them off the street, it reduces the chances of retaliation or any type of crimes that might come as a result of it. So you do see this lag effect of things catching up, and you get a lot of momentum that way. And so when you take away those crimes of opportunity and you take those actors off the street, it ends up having this really momentous effect. And I think officers feel it. Officers feel the good work that they're doing and the results of it. And I hope the community does too. So.
Anything else?
When's the new police department building going to open?
So the new police headquarters, we'll actually be talking about that today at the Public Safety Committee meeting at Metro Council, and we are hoping to be in, at least partially, it's going to be phased in. We're hoping to be in mid to late August or just after. So very excited about being able to move into the new headquarters.
Thanks, everybody. That's good.
So have a good day.